Roll dice, be nice, and stay tuned. This is the Live to Die podcast.
I just want to say that, like that last episode where we started divulging information about our characters and having little chit chats was cool. And like, we haven't really checked in with characters in a while, I think. And for Drosharis, it was cool for Jason to like be honest about what's going on, but it adds another like level of uncertainty now for me. Like, do I have to deal with Val because I was honest?
Like, deal with Val?
In all of the senses that deal comes implies. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is that what you were putting on the, like when Drosharis was like hiding a note in the brick of the building and then came back to see if it was there? Were you passing info about Val?
The note said, Valentine, not the target.
Oh.
And it wasn't there when you came back in the morning?
And it was not there, nor was there a response when I came back.
Interesting.
You're here to kill Watson.
Watson is the target.
Yeah, now there's a whole level of distrust potentially.
All right, so that's a good point. You've got a lot of shit coming up. How are other people feeling? Young characters, players, a lot of stuff's coming up.
I think we have to know that we're getting close to the end here, and that has to be nervous for everybody involved. We took a risk, like just taking a nap. I know nap for 8 hours, but
16, thank you.
When you're old, that's a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think at least for Watson, he's like, well, at least we got through the sleeping portion, We didn't die in a very comfortable bed.
Very comfortable. Very comfortable.
How are you feeling walking into a room with like a level 24 artifact?
Oh, he's very excited.
Pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited. Nothing bad's going to happen.
No.
Yeah, it seems totally fine in here.
We'll probably get some good loot that we can sell, and that's it.
I drew the giant map and obelisk on the table for just so you could know where everyone was standing in the conversation that's upcoming.
Well, I just want everybody to know who's listening that this room, the obelisk is big, right? You said it was like 10 feet.
It's 5 feet across, 10
so
feet high, yeah.
So it's not small.
Yeah.
It's a speck in this room.
It's like a dot.
Yeah, true.
It's a big room.
It's
I think
about
It's huge.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
12 squares by 12 squares. So
144 squares times 5, which is like something like
it's 120 feet across by 120 feet
squared.
It's a big room.
It's big.
Vaulted ceilings, spirals.
How tall are those ceilings, flying people?
Yeah, that's
The ceilings by default are 12 feet, but I believe in this room they are slightly higher.
By default? Like the Pathfinder
No, it's
building codes?
yeah.
20-foot high ceilings?
Are you not a part of the standard Galarian Builders
The
Association?
Galarian Teamsters?
I don't think Teamsters are building buildings, Jason.
But they're all together. They all know each other.
No, they're moving buildings from place to place.
There you go. They're shipping the building stuff.
So the rest of the ceilings in this building have been 12 feet high.
Contractor's the word I was looking for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
However, this
Pipe
room
fitters.
is 20 feet high, and you're all queued up behind that door, sort of a door on the western edge of the room. And as a matter of fact, we can probably stand to go through a description of the room again.
Sure.
I cut some of y'all off. Does everyone feel good about where you're at? You just want to jump in, ready to...
No,
wanna hear
Val
what
feels
Val has to
very
say.
bad about where she's at.
Yeah?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like, I think that Val is a very deceptive person with a 30 deception. And so I think that she knows enough to know that, like, in the moment that Drosharis is, like, talking to her, she doesn't think that he's lying, but it's also, like, she knows that people can kind of hide their intentions through not directly lying about something. And so I think she's very unnerved and unsettled. And then also is kind of feeling like, again, like a cog in the wheel here for some very heavy things going on with like gods and power. And I think she was kind of hoping to like, she was an assassin. She's like in her 30s and wanted to like fade into the background. And I feel like now she's just like realizing like, oh, I've got a lot of work in front of me, whether it's taking care of like whoever the hell Drosharis works for that wants to kill her, or like being a liaison to these gods. And it just seems like things are about to get very out of hand for her.
So it's the same process everyone in their 30s goes through. Like, if retirement is so far away still.
Yeah.
Might have to kill somebody to survive.
I'm so tired.
Life in your 30s.
And Drosharis' thing probably puts an obstacle between Fox and Val too, just because I'm closer to Dro.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
It puts a little bit of everything back at like this tense place
And I
that
think
we had
that
avoided for a while.
she's like, I don't know that she would necessarily like reveal it a lot, but she is not happy about the idea that somebody would be like willing to kill Watson as kind of a bystander to her situation. So I think that she is truly contemplating killing Drosharis before it's all said and done.
I feel like killing Watson would be like killing the dog in John Wick. Like, it's just carte blanche for the audience for that person to do anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They killed Watson. All right. Anything is excusable now.
Totally. But yeah, I feel like there was definitely some big reveals in the last one.
I don't want to set the stakes too high, but it's nothing on what's coming up in this episode.
Whoa. Oh, God.
But if you don't make it through this fight, Watson dies.
Those are the real stakes.
The only one here who can truly kill Watson is James.
Or Trent.
Yeah.
I guess I'd still have to. I have a lot of power here.
Sure do.
But who would have a lot of power in this room is this
Watson.
Giant, scary monster.
huge creature standing at the center of this vaulted 20-foot high ceilinged chamber.
Noted.
It's surprisingly lofty. We talked about how there's several grooves carved into the stone of the floor and what look like wide spirals, but something about the shape of them is just uncomfortable enough that looking at them almost gives you vertigo. To see them is to feel like maybe you're unbalanced or the floor is uneven, or maybe that you're even falling, like an optical illusion of carving. The room's center, though, has this purple obelisk, pillar, if you will, 10 feet high and 5 feet across. But as we alluded to, probably the more compellingly odd image is a huge creature positioned sort of between you and the obelisk.
So it's not on top of the obelisk.
No, it's standing next to and sort of looking at and down on it.
What's he look like?
He's like,
Or do we get the drop?
Oh, you will in a second. I'm going to start.
Got the
Oh.
one leg straight, one leg not straight, so
Yeah,
he's like
yeah.
cocking the cheeks out a little bit.
Right.
Oh, right. It's called popping a hip, Jason.
Well, howdy.
Fuck, I don't know.
oh, howdy.
Welcome to my obelisk room.
So I want you to imagine.
You
I
all
mean,
look like
when we walk
travelers.
in, all we see is popped hip and monster ass with a little peek over the side.
Back
Imagine
behind him.
a millipede.
Oh, I don't want
Starting
to.
with
well,
that tail.
that's not what
like
we
a
wanted.
forked, sort of like a forked crescent moon bit of like bone. And then coming up this multi-segmented back to where the millipede legs should start. Instead, it looks like if someone were to put both of their hands together and each finger were an almost fleshy crab leg protruding out from this snake millipede body.
What
Gross.
the
Where it
fuck?
grows into a rib cage, arms and blades coming out from it, and above it, 3 heads, each the size of a person, crowned in bones coming out of their foreheads.
We just closed
Yeah,
the
I'd
door.
be like, okay.
As you open the door,
Goodbye, I'm Drosharis.
its whole body and its heads turn around you, and one of the 3 body-sized mouths opens up as it crooks an enormous claw at you, and in common says, "I request a parley."
Oh.
And would you all like to see a photo and describe this
Yes.
a
Yeah,
little
of
bit?
course.
Let's go ahead and press the button
I was
here.
going to be like, eat shit and die, monster.
Val would.
Yeah. That was
I was
like,
gonna say,
shot it.
Parlay
So it's a
this.
size huge.
Oh
Alright,
my
let's go.
God.
Who wants to take a stab at describing this?
Weird.
No.
It looks
Pass.
like you would fight it in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It looks like a tree with centipede legs and scary bone mouth crown situation and also skulls.
Anybody seen the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Ivan the Ooze. It's like 3 Ivan the Ooze faces.
Yeah.
Its
On
eyes
some
are
legs.
glowing. Oh, you know what it kind of reminds me of is like an actually more scary version of the thing from the Green Knight. The Green Knight. itself.
eponymous
Yes,
Green
the
Knight.
eponymous Green Knight. Like kind of like the tree face vibe.
Yeah.
And if you walked by, like, let's say you're at a Chinese food buffet and you walked by the crab legs tub, that's what its legs looks like. It
Yeah.
looks like a bunch of like
Jumbled.
misshapen, jumbled. Some of the feet are pointing up. I don't know how that works. But yeah, this thing's a mess.
It's also labeled three-faced regent. So this whole regent situation, I feel like, is...
So it's a board of trustees.
So this is one of the, I was
We need to
talking
talk about your articles of incorporation.
the other day about how important props are, especially when you're playing in person. Because I remember ages ago, I was playing in a Starfinder game. Trent and I were both players in a Starfinder game down in Denver that a friend was running. And he had picked up the pawn set for that particular adventure path. We were like the second bookends. We've been fighting a lot of human-style enemies, and we get to a point where this like fucking dragon thing comes out, and he just slams down the pawn, and the entire table just had a like, oh fuck, that's the scale and size of what we're dealing with. So with that in mind, I was really happy when I picked up the pawn sets for at least the bestiaries in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And so this creature is in one of the bestiaries and has a pawn, and I was so excited. So if you'll all bear with me, you can go ahead and give me a commentary or talk. Just Phil, while I lean over the table and set this down.
I don't want to.
I'm nervous.
Oh my God, that's a huge
no.
pawn.
Is that seriously how much bigger it is than us?
Yeah. So now we will note that the art in the bestiary is a little bit different. The one in Grey Death is
This is
unique.
better.
Well, because the Grey Death one, like I said, it has like crowns. It's a crowned creature. It is actually, it will introduce, so it reaches out. I would like to request a parlay. And crooks one of its big, like, talons at you.
Well, if you insist.
Excellent. Come in.
Oh, can we not do it from out here?
It will be more difficult. But if you wish to begin starting our conversation, then it is fine for you to do so from wherever you like. It matters to me not.
Do I get the idea that the magic I detected is coming from the obelisk?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Joshar steps in front of Watson.
Welcome. I am Three-Faced Regent, and I understand that you might be able to help me. Then it's one of those where like each word is said by one of the different heads, sort of going back and forth while they talk.
Is that your birth name? Three-headed regent?
Three-faced. I am a minor but powerful noble of Zybalba.
Does anyone know what that is?
Maybe
Can I
you occult
religion?
Is that your cousin? Or?
Should I roll an occult to see whose Sebulba is?
Zybalba. The Buntaziv race.
Speaking of, whoever writes Mandalorian and decided to celebrate Bunta Eve in the last episode and didn't race pods, fire that person.
Pod racing was amazing.
And we've never seen it again.
Now that's what I call pod racing. Religion check, Jane. What's your bonus?
27.
You haven't
Oh,
heard.
just kidding. 25. Sorry.
Well, you definitely
Terrible
haven't. You haven't. You rings a bell, but you're not sure why. You can probably research it. Jason, you want to do? I'll allow an occult potentially. What's your bonus?
26.
Yeah, you have heard of Zybalba. It's the land of dread. The domain of Sack Hills, a demi-plane drifting inside of the ethereal plane, designed to inflict pain and misery on travelers by enacting their worst nightmares physically in the world around them.
Isn't Nelabit supposed to be taking care of this?
So bees?
What?
Doesn't Drosharis hate bees?
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah,
you
yeah. I was
appreciate
like-
how important they are to the environment?
What exactly are you requesting? I don't really want to call you friend, to be quite honest.
Regent.
Regent will be fine.
Your regentness?
Just Regent.
Oh, okay.
Drop the V.
Don't tell me what to do.
You may call me the Watson.
Excellent. The what? All I need from you is your help with this contraption, this pillar here. It seems to... I have not the knowledge I need to use its reservoirs of power.
Right. I don't think we'll be helping you in that regard. Excuse me. What exactly are you hoping that it will do for you?
The same thing you might want from it.
Once again, like it sort of will start with one face and sort of jumps to the other heads as it comes in.
You're here for the worm. Yes.
Yes, we are.
Nope.
This could help.
Oh, please don't do that. It is horrible.
What does it do? What is it you're trying to accomplish? Try to be less vague.
This pillar is older than this land. It holds knowledge. It connects to the truth of all things. I have not the skill to work it, but it would give the knowledge needed to usurp the worm.
Can I sense motive?
Yeah. What's your perception bonus? And do you have any bonuses to,
No,
sense
it's just
motive?
a battle stuff. It's 26.
Okay. I mean, it certainly seems like it feels like this thing would hold potentially useful knowledge for you.
I think. Why do you want to usurp the worm? What would you do instead?
I do not like having my life bent to its will.
Fucking hell, man. I get that, Drosharis. No, I'm just kidding.
No one likes their boss.
Would you allow us to come up and read the obelisk without, please maybe stand in one corner away from us because you're very scary.
Of course. This repository of knowledge stands here unlocked before my delicate touch. And look, do you not question from whence comes payment and orders? The provenance of the hand that feeds you? I would do the same. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about this creature that has called me here. But I've yet been unable.
What does the worm want with you?
It wants me and my kin to guard it here. But I find myself growing tired of its schemes.
What's the worm's scheme?
I know not, but it has told me to stay, to guard, and to command a noble such as I is to lessen me.
Why don't you just blip back to whatever creepy realm you came from?
It summoned me here once, and without knowledge of how to push or fight back, I, even as strong as I am, would be forced to tax my resources against one such as it.
Can we see if it's lying?
Yeah. So Drosharis has already attempted one and hasn't gotten lies. What's your perception bonus?
28.
Val would like to do the same, and I have a 30
Okay.
for this specific thing, thanks to lie detector.
Okay. I'm looking up some of the DCs here in BD. What was your bonus, Trent?
Mine is 28.
Okay. You're not. It's hard to read this thing. You're not getting any intrinsic stuff, and yours is 30, Jane.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Could be. It does seem like it's interested in learning more about its employer, learning how to get something from it.
Watson, we know?
You feel like maybe there's a little left out in why he wants to learn more about the worm, but it does feel like it makes sense. If something forcibly summoned it here, it wants to know more about it or be able to learn and get an edge.
What I know, I feel like characters of this level would know, and I just don't know with Pathfinder stuff, how summoning works. Is there something that's trapping it to this certain location, or is it if we killed the worm, this thing would be free?
It's a little different. It's from ritual to ritual. You can summon it, you can make pacts with it and things like that. So it's all sorts of things can happen. Usually it's an arrangement or an agreement, but a lot of summoners will also often try to make sure they have leverage or the power to, once they summon something there, compel it to agree to a deal with it. So
I think that if we're not fully into the room yet, Val, being very stealthy and sneaky, will kind of step out of the way a little bit, maybe a little bit quietly.
Sure.
Grab the Gnosi charm and try to send a message to the psychopomps and say, essentially, through the sending charm, biggest sack hill we've ever seen. Send help.
Biggest sack hill ever seen. 4 words. You've got
how many can I say?
25 words,
okay.
I believe.
In crypts beneath Galt.
Okay.
What is this? Monastery.
Three-faced regent.
Three-faced
Attempting to
regent.
parlay.
Noble sack hill.
Okay.
Bound by worm.
Sure. Goes off. Twitter.
Joe Sharis kind of looks up and says, "Why do we need your help? Why should we not lay you low and do it ourselves?"
Well, what have you to gain by killing me when I have done nothing to you?
Experience points,
motherfucker.
Well, then let's fucking grumble.
Again.
Did you say let's fucking grumble?
I said rumble.
Grumble. Look. Give me your assistance. I will teach you the ritual which I have learned to access this repository of knowledge.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's no way we're doing that, right? We're not going to help this creature in any way. I don't look at it. I don't trust it.
Help me gain this knowledge.
Can we look at the...
we all profit.
Yeah, right. Can we go up and look at the obelisk, maybe?
Of course
yes,
you can.
We're going to help you, yes.
So you all walk up. Do all you walk up or just a couple?
Definitely on the other side of where it is.
Sure, so you go to the far side, the east side of the room.
Yeah.
There's a couple of double doors on the east side of this vaulted room.
Can I that's odd this room really quick?
Yeah, you look around and you actually will notice a small secret door in the northeast corner that looks like it was sort of recently added to the room. Otherwise, obviously, of course, the big fucking odd thing is, the giant pillar, the purple pillar in the middle of the room.
Right.
There are some carvings on it, but they're not intrinsically like a instruction manual on how to use it.
What's in the western part of the room?
Yeah, in the southwest part of the room, there is an opening to another area, rounded walls and a small alcove. As you sort of moved past it, Watson, you did hear an odd set of whispers coming from that room. But you don't see anything in there. Yeah.
Weird. Are there markings on the obelisk itself?
You can look and see what is there to be found yourself, but yes, some predating language as far as you've seen itself.
What about this room, creature? And he points towards this. What Jane wrote, scary area, evil whispers, do not trust.
It is where the gardeners cast their planner binding spells to bring us here from our plane of dread.
Can we dispel that?
It's
I can't.
It's not a permanent spell.
Okay.
It's basically just like the remnants of
The
a
remnants
ritual
of
room.
magic. Okay, cool.
Sometimes particularly good spaces might have like thinner walls between that plane and others, so it might just be like a particularly good place to cast that. But you do not see any indication of any like permanent spell.
Okay, cool.
Trent, you would know that planar binding is a ritual that uses abjuration and conjuration.
Ah, okay. Are there markings on this obelisk?
There are some. Your kind of quick gut is that you could spend a lifetime trying to decipher this.
Makes sense.
The obelisk looks older than anything you've ever seen, including this building itself.
Some extremely high-level magic that none of us could comprehend.
You could, with time.
Creature, where is the worm?
It is behind those doors.
And it points to those double doors to the east.
Oh,
Sense motive?
terrifying.
Sure.
Is it lying?
Doesn't seem to be.
If we help you,
Yes.
do you just leave?
I take the knowledge with me that you help me gain.
So
And
here's where you and I start to not trust each other.
I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to help me help us.
Another question for you.
We both stand to gain.
These shadows, these shadows in the lights and in the rooms in this crypt, does that have to do with your kind coming here?
These trifling matters task my patience.
You're asking
mortal.
for our help.
Our presence here distorts it. Our presence here brings with it the smallest touches of our home. Our home, which you find unsettling by nature.
I definitely do feel that way, yes.
There's a lot of you that tried to kill us recently.
This conversation is taking time away from my efforts here. Will you help me or not?
Yes, allow me to perform a ritual to try and get to the base of the knowledge you seek.
If you'll help me, I can show you the ritual here.
Right, so what Watson wants to augury actually now.
Okay, that takes 10 minutes.
Right. Ask about the results of a particular course of action. Were we to help this thing?
Someone give me a diplomacy check to convince Three-Face.
To convince
to
him?
convince Regent that like you're not beginning to cast like just give me 10 minutes to cast Fireball. Yeah. And it's not like you're
give
lying,
one.
but you are trying to keep this is a parlay, this is a negotiation, it's back
Right.
and forth.
Right. Yeah, I'll give you a diplomacy check here.
And while Trent's looking at that,
Can I
Jane,
aid the diplomacy?
one person can aid. Yeah, go ahead and roll for your diplomacy aid.
Natural 19.
What's the total?
What is my diplomacy?
And what's your training in it?
I am expert, and that's a 45.
There's a patch from me.
Okay, so Trent, you'll get a plus. I think it's a +2. Might be more. I'm double checking. Yeah, you'll get a +2.
I'm going to patch for Watson.
Jesus.
And a double
I rolled
patch
a 1
situation
and then
there.
a 4.
Double patch.
Okay. Sure, it's gonna be fine.
I mean, it's better.
Okay. And you get a +2 from Jane. Jane did aid. What do you got?
I feel like knowing the result of this would be very, very valuable. Like the fact that he can't, so if we can convince this thing.
No, it's not worth more patches. That is a total of 34.
Okay.
I'll watch you closely.
All right.
Oh, yes, of
Do
course.
not try my patience.
Sure. Yomo Famitao.
Is that the
Yeah.
Jackie Chan Adventures?
Yes,
I love that show.
me too.
Okay, so I did just double check on the rules for planar binding since you were asking about this, Jane.
Mm-hmm.
And the general knowledge that Val would have as someone who's been in the world this long is that broadly, some rituals have variations, but unless you have a specific hold over a certain creature, like in some cases knowing its true name or things like that, a successful planar binding will sort of, it's just like casting a line. You'll pull something vaguely like what you're looking for into an area that usually you have some control over, and then it begins a bartering or negotiation for its services. Sometimes it can't escape, or you can set up other spells in which, like, here's the deal. you can't leave until you agree to serve me, but then there's some like conversations about the terms of service and things. If there is a critical success on the ritual to bind a creature, you then have a lot more, like you can then almost force the contract in your exact terms. So the bigger the creature, the harder it is, the better the caster, the more they can exert control over the exchange of services, basically.
There's a rule for that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I would like to cast Augury now that he's given us some leeway here.
Trent, how does Augury work?
Okay.
Jason's just slowly pacing the room. Drosharis is definitely, while you guys are talking, is scanning the room and, when this shit goes sideways, where do I need to be standing?
Okay.
This is, you gain a vague glimpse of the future. During the casting of this spell, ask about the results of a particular course of action.
Okay.
The spell can predict results up to 30 minutes into the future and reveals the GM's best guess among the following outcomes. Wheel, the results will be good. Woe, the results will be bad. Wheel and woe, the results will be a mix. Nothing, there won't be particularly good or bad results. The GM rolls a secret DC 6 flat check. On a failure, the result is always nothing.
Okay.
And then, then you tell us wheel, woe, or wheel and woe.
All right, Trent. What is your course of action as defined by the ask? Because this is one of those, I imagine, old school fantasy things. The way you phrase this question is very important.
Sure. If we help this creature, are the results good or bad? Yeah, for us. That's very good.
Response.
Wait, so that means we don't know if it would be good or bad?
So that means the GM is ignoring the rules?
I followed the rules exactly.
That you're just decline. Oh, you
the flat check.
Isn't that what happens?
When you fail, you don't know anything.
Or
on a failure, the result is always nothing. There won't be particularly good or bad results.
That's, you don't know what you hear. You're like, look, could go either way. Uncertain. Ask again later. Is that the old Magic 8 Ball line?
Yeah. And then, the result is always nothing. This makes it impossible to tell whether a nothing result is accurate.
Yep. So you're not sure if there is nothing. Maybe it really is so benign. Now, obviously, the circumstances here belie that. Look, there's probably something.
Oh, totally.
So you can draw your own conclusion.
So he will look back at the party and be like,
I will also say, Jane, you've had enough time where if you wanted to designate this thing a lead.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, is that...
I saw you calling for a
This
moment.
takes 10 minutes?
No, it's once every 10 minutes.
I mean what Watson's doing takes 10 minutes, right? We asked for it. I think that in that 10 minutes, Val would like to, designate the lead, because I can do that once every 10 minutes as this giant, scary Sackhill. And also... can I do a reconstruct the scene? Because that takes me 1 minute to just see, what has this thing been doing in here?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to use your other ability. Your, ask questions shit.
Oh, I could do that.
Oh, shit. You reconstruct the scene. You'll have time. In the time you reconstruct the scene, this thing has been in here. Because all you know is physical stuff, right? This thing has been in here. I think it flies. So it seems like it's been floating in here.
Mm-hmm.
So just hanging out.
Yeah.
Because it's only is it the last 24 hours? How long is
I can do it once per day.
Yeah, but how long of a vision do you get? How much insight?
Oh, for reconstruct the scene? Sorry, now I'm just thinking about doing this question asking thing, but I also feel like you're just going to be immaterial.
No, it doesn't fly.
Yeah, it's within the last 24 hours for reconstruct.
So it walks on all those crab legs?
It walks on all the crab legs. So you see the signs that it's been sort of pacing around the room. It actually does look like the room's spirals in here used to be concentric circles, and it has modified them to be spirals. Your takeaway from that is just that it makes people physically uncomfortable the same way the shadows do.
Okay,
so it just likes fucking with people.
Initially, I wanted to... So I have this thing that I did a few episodes ago called Who Done It, where I can take a lead that I have and ask the GM 2 questions about it that they're forced to answer yes, no, if it has a practical application to our situation. If it just doesn't, then the answer can be immaterial. I can only use it once a day. And I had thought like I'm going to save this until we have a really relevant question about the worm that we need to know. However, in looking at it right now, I see that you can't use whodunit more than once for the same lead. So I think I've already done that pertaining to the worm before. So I think I will go ahead and do it now. And as this is my lead, I think
2 questions.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So first question. If we help this monster, will the results be in our favor?
What am I allowed to answer?
Yes, no, or immaterial. But it's
Yes.
immaterial. If we help it, the results will be in our favor.
Yes.
The second question is,
how long does it take to do this process? Because you've spent 1 minute
1 minute.
reconstructing
I
the
can
scene.
ask. Yeah, 1 minute to ask 2 questions. Is it possible to successfully defeat this creature?
Yes. I love all of these abilities coming out. I'm trying to figure what the fuck is going on with this room. I'm so excited.
Whereas Josharis is just like, when are we going to chop this thing's legs off?
Dwarf,
Yes.
you to help me, or have all of you wasted our time?
Right, I was just, powering myself up.
If we help you, you must agree to go back to where you came from and not interfere with us or anything here again.
I will not go back to where I came. I will not interfere.
Wait,
You wish
where are you going?
wherever I want.
Oh, that
My
seems
agency
problematic.
shall and will always be my own. Would you really trust me if I told you I would go where you told me to?
No, of course not. I wouldn't trust you ever.
So then why does it matter what I say?
Fox,
Is this a riddle?
what do you
One
think?
of us always lies.
I think that we have to focus first and foremost on defeating the worm. And if this gives us a leg up, then
You
to
say
be
that you
open to
have
that.
information that can help us in defeating this creature?
That is what I hope to find in this repository of knowledge. I seek in it answers. Answers unknown to those living for centuries. Answers I believe here. Try as I might, I have not the skill to crack this. And if none of you do either, I have no time for you.
All right. I would just like to say that I believe we should lend our skills to this effort.
Of course
We will
you
help
do.
you.
I also vote we should help this creature.
Here is how this is going to work.
Well, now I'm fucking out. You don't tell us what to do either.
Well, and so what it's going. So are all of you on board now?
Reluctantly.
Watson's not.
He's been
Watson?
outvoted.
I mean, I
Just trust
certainly
us.
don't have the power to withstand this creature on my own, so I have to go along with what you're saying.
So, this thing proceeds to explain the parameters of a ritual called legend lore. It's a ritual that exists. It's not something that it intrinsically created. It's a level 7 divination ritual. Usually it takes a day to cast. Requires 2 casters and a few different skill sets. This one's a little bit different. In this case, and let me scroll up to all my fucking notes on this shit. All right. So, this is a giant pillar, and there is a modification of this ritual. This ritual will take an hour to perform, and it is going to need, let's see, and no single creature can perform the ritual as a primary or secondary caster more than once a day. And so here's what's going to happen. You're going to perform a variation on, I have so many notes for this whole room. You're going to perform a variation on the legend lore. And let's see, it will ensure it tells you that it has failed and it cannot attempt again. It will ensure your safety and protect you while you work on the ritual, in case anything or anyone were to come and interfere. This will require a mastery level proficiency in occultism. Do any of you have that?
A master?
Yes, master.
Yes.
Oh.
I do not.
No.
So Drosharis is the only one who can lead this ritual.
It looks like I gotta get up here.
The secondary checks is you'll need either society or performance, and you can do any level of training in that.
We did not take performance.
Yeah,
Everybody pointed at me for society.
Fucking come up with the performance thing.
I was a bard in my
dance
youth.
at the party.
We have to go find that water dancer.
No.
And so, has anyone ever touched this pillar in the time you've been here?
Oh God, absolutely not.
No.
Okay. So,
No fucking way.
Really?
Regent says,
Lay hand upon the pillar, and I will guide you through the ritual.
Bless you.
Bless you.
sorry,
Sorry.
Jane's allergic to my bullshit.
Every time.
Ever?
And this monsters.
It's allergy
So
season.
since I'm a master in occult, I kind of like eye Watson
Mm-hmm.
and shrug a little bit.
Well, I am the oldest, and he'll just put his hand on the pillar.
All right.
So as soon as you touch as soon as you touch the pillar, your mind starts to fill with images and knowledge.
I was trying to not so hard.
And it think OG Matrix, like downloading kung fu and like learning skills.
Mm-hmm.
It's downloading, essentially imprinting into you the conceptual ideas of how to perform the ritual legend lore. And you will regardless know how to do this in the future. This is an uncommon ritual, which means like you can only gain access to this by finding it somewhere in the world. You can't just be like, I've got this idea, I want to find it.
That's cool.
You attempt to learn useful legends about a particular subject, which must be an important person, place, or thing. If the subject is present, increase the degree of success of your primary skill check by 1. If you have only vague information about the subject before attempting the ritual, decrease the degree of success by 1 step. These modifiers cancel each other out if you have the subject present, but with little to no baseline information, for example, right? So in this case, you're going to lead. You'll need, so you need 2 secondary. Ooh. There will need to be a performance check from someone. And
It can't be society?
Well, there needs to be 2 secondary casters. One is doing performance and one is doing society.
Can one do deception?
But you said we don't have
Trying
to
to
be
pretend
trained.
to be performance?
You don't have to be trained in these. You have to be a master if you're leading it, but anyone can do an untrained performance.
Well, I'm definitely going to do society because I have a 31,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have whatever that feat is that lets you do things untrained.
Ooh. Does no one else?
What's your society?
I will perform. My society is untrained.
All right.
Well, what would that boost it to? Yours too. If you use the feat.
Let's see. Let me just read this really quick. It's called deductive improvisation. And it says you use your skills to perform whatever task is necessary to solve the case. You can attempt any check that requires you to be trained in a skill, even if you're untrained. You can attempt any check that requires you to have expert if you're trained. So I don't think it really gives me a bonus. It just allows me to do it at a level that I'm not at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that inherently gives you bonus though,
Yeah.
and more than just the +2. I mean,
Well, unless it's the whole like this requires a master in occultism. Maybe that allows you to do it even if you're not a master, but it doesn't maybe give you the bonus. I don't know.
Yeah, because it doesn't say anything about a bonus, but and it would only take me from untrained to trained in performance, but I have a 31 society.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else have a comparably high society?
trained in, well, I guess it depends on what the mechanic is, but trained in performance would give you like a 20 something.
Read that ability again, Jane, your training thing.
Okay.
Because I'm trained in like religion and I have a 22.
Yeah.
I'm untrained in performance, I have a 2.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
a 4.
Right.
You know?
So it's like you can use your skills at deduction to perform whatever task is necessary to solve. So it's like she is so savvy that she can do this even if she's not, like, to the situation, that even if she's not trained in that skill.
Sure.
So I can attempt any check that requires you to be trained, even if I'm untrained, any check that requires you to have expert, as long as I'm trained in it, and any check that requires master, as long as I am expert. So, like,
it doesn't
the
actually
level
improve
above.
your bonus.
Yeah,
It just counts your proficiency as higher for
Yeah.
for the sake of, like, gatekeeping.
So I
Okay.
still only have a +4 to
Performance.
performance.
So here's the deal. If when you attempt these checks, what the secondary checks do is they affect the primary person's ability. If you critically succeed on the secondary check, the main person gets a +2. If you succeed on a secondary check, they get no bonus. If you fail, the main person takes a -4. If you critically failure, the main person has their entire degree of success reduced by 1.
That's why I think I should.
We don't know the DC.
Oh, I'll give you the DC.
That's why I still think I should do society, though, because I have a better
do
chance
too.
at critically passing.
Yeah, but if someone critically fails, it completely downgrades Jason's attempt by 1, regardless. And the DC that you're going to be looking to hit is in the mid-30s, I think.
Okay.
I'm willing to share that with you. Jason, your DC is 37.
Okay.
The secondary check DC is 32.
Okay.
So now
So I have a pretty
don't
good
all of you
chance of
have
getting a critical and helping you.
a
That just means
self-playing
one of us.
violin. Does that help on performance checks?
What?
I don't
Oh,
know.
wait. Yeah. Did you get that from the music room, Watson?
But
You could
also,
not-
Yeah,
You
we
can
did.
pick it
I
up.
mean, Watson doesn't have it.
I'm
but
pretty sure I put it in my bag.
could you also use the book to get an item bonus?
That's for recall knowledge.
That's for recall knowledge specifically. It's a greater maestro's instrument or something like that is what
Yeah.
it's called.
So I have an idea.
Go on.
I do have guidance.
Okay.
So at least I can give a +1 to a performance check.
So here's what I'll say. Technically, guidance is for a single action. This is a 10-minute check, but I'll allow it because I like it and I think it's interesting. And it's still really unlikely that Jared will succeed anyway.
Wow.
You're hyping us
Whoa.
up.
Yeah, I'm here to
Um,
help.
We
And
are
that-
literally just trying to avoid a critical failure.
Additionally,
Okay.
can I aid his performance check
With what?
with athletics?
How would you do that?
What if I'm like,
Yeah, how would you do that?
you know, like the movie Ghost? Like, what if I'm just like oh my God,
Yes.
behind him, like moving his arms with him? You know,
All right. I'm going to raise the DC for that, obviously, because that's wild.
I don't think that's fair. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Because it does say it may be a higher DC if it's less appropriate.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think this is
totally.
the case.
Little Unchained Melody.
Yeah.
So let's start with that, Trent. So go ahead and roll your athletics aid.
Okay.
And we'll set this all up.
I mean, it's not horrible.
Okay. You got this. And what's your training in athletics, by the way?
I'm a master in athletics.
All right, MBD.
That's a 36.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
terrible math. 37.
and from our quick pause conversation, Jared, you're going to be bringing out the Greater Maestro's instrument
Yes.
and hopefully having it magically help you play
Of
it.
course. I mean, I can't play it without magic. So
Or me, behind you.
The devil went down to Galt, and he was looking at Megan
no
Tails.
kidding.
Your muscles are so supple.
Jesus. All right. So that is not just going to be an aid, because I increased the DC by an immeasurable amount, but that will be a crit success.
Nice.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're a master in athletics.
Yeah, what is it, a +3?
Yes, so that'll be a +3. So we worked this all out. So that means you're going to have a +9 on this untrained check to
Oh,
try
great.
to play
Wow.
a violin. So now I want to talk about a couple of things before we go into these checks, because
I'm
we'll all
nervous.
figure this out.
Me too.
Drosharis, when you touch the pillar, you learn how to cast this ritual. This pillar has an interesting... In this case, it may be a safeguard built in, but the pillar imparts to whoever touches it. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight here. In this moment, the pillar shows you a little bit of the citadel being built around it. This pillar was here first,
Ooh.
found almost back in the Age of Legends. Found by people on Earth back before Starfall, or near to it. And this temple was built around this. Actually, let me double check that timeline.
Didn't
It's
we
very
figure
old.
out that the
Go for it.
citadel is like thousands of years
Yeah.
old?
Yeah, super.
And
old.
the creatures whose natures I was speaking with them about were saying like this has long been like a center of knowledge, which makes sense with this item here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for context, we're talking about millennia old. So this is pre-fall of the Aslanti Empire.
Okay.
Creatures found this pillar, which seemed to itself at that time already hold knowledge, and built a temple around it. In touching it, you see a little bit of its construction. You see time over the years of dedication to different gods of knowledge, including Nethys himself at what point being worshipped here. And you realize that one of the traits of this pillar is whoever touches it learns of the questions asked by those who used it last.
Oh, fuck.
Ah.
Okay.
So when you learn the ritual, you also do learn a little about what Three-Faced has been asking of this pillar.
Hell yes.
Will I ever find a wife?
Will I
to find-
really put the chicken for Chick-fil-A in pickle juice?
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
So you specifically learned that Regent has been researching the Conqueror Worm's ability to escape death by projecting its own consciousness elsewhere into the world. It hasn't found answers to that question, but it knows enough to ask that.
It's trying to Emperor Palpatine this shit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. God damn it.
It wants to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I was worried about, is it just wants to take its place.
Yep.
all right. So now it's time for some checks. All right. Should we start with Jared?
Yeah.
Worst to best.
You have a plus
Plus
9 total.
+9 as Watson is behind you, ghosting you.
So what does he need to roll?
And is this the most significant roll we've made?
For you to not critically fail.
Yeah, I don't think I can succeed, but I cannot critically fail.
For you to not critically fail, you need to hit a 22.
Which is 13 or higher.
Sorry, a 23 or higher. 22 is critical failure, 23.
Okay.
So on the die.
Ooh.
We have 3 patches.
Yeah.
Should we need to use them?
Mm-hmm. We ready?
There's a lot of role playing an episode ago, and it's really going to come in here.
Yeah.
Now, let that being said, what type of creature are you, Jared?
Oh, God.
A tiefling.
What?
Now,
An honest one?
are you a fiend? Do you carry that tag as a tiefling?
Don't believe so. It just
I don't
says
think so either, but I just want to check.
human
Is the
humanoid
obelisk
tiefling.
Racist?
One of the things
Most
that
bad guys are.
one of the things that Drosharis learns in touching this. Keep in mind, so this pillar, no one knows what created it. This thing was here before civilizations.
Tiefling says you descend from fiends.
But descend from does not mean it carries the tag of. It'll
That's
tell
true.
you
At
gain
least
the
on
trait.
Hero Lab, under traits, it's not one of them.
I trust Hero Lab. So here's one of the things you find out about this. This pillar's existence, whatever created it, stands in opposition to aberrations, fiends, celestials, and monitors. It is against outside influence.
Interesting.
If any of the primary or secondary casters is one of those types, reduce the degree of the primary skill check. If
That's why he couldn't do it. That's why Regent couldn't do it.
Yeah, because he's a fiend.
If the ritual's
Abjuration.
subject is one of those types, increase the degree of success of the primary caster by 1. So now you will have to add, obviously I'm guessing you're asking about the Conqueror Worm, which you know to be an aberration. So you will have an increased result of success on your check because
Cool.
whatever created this weird construction designed it to be a repository of knowledge to protect against aberrations, gods, and devils.
Okay.
Cool.
So let's go for this roll, Jared. What do you need to hit 23? 14 or higher?
14?
All right. Here we go.
There we go.
That's a high number. Oh, my God.
What is it?
Got it.
Is that an 18 or 16?
That is a 16.
Stop.
16.
Yes.
So you
Nice
Get
roll.
him.
25.
Watson helps guide Fox's elbows
Yes.
and playing the
Oh my God.
shakiest violin rendition.
Yeah.
Dro has one eye closed,
twinkle,
but he's like
twinkle.
also like, what the fuck is
Val's
going
like,
on
actually
here?
not as bad as I thought it would be.
Shark's just like, should I learn it? It's like, should I learn how to play an instrument?
Do I have a natural gift?
I love the idea that if you live, you're going to show up in another campaign as a like really shitty bard.
Level 1 bard.
I know
You're
what
just
skill
retired.
I'm taking.
Well, no. I
Next
love the
level up.
idea that you'll still be like a level 18 character. Everyone's gonna be like, this amateur bard sucks. And then like a fight breaks out and you just destroy a village. All right, so that is a failure. So, Jason, you're looking at a net -4 right now on your check.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, Jane. Society.
All right.
Ooh, what's it gonna be?
That is a 42.
Oh God,
Whoa.
that's a critical
Crit
success.
success.
Hey.
Which means, Jason, you're
It's
now
flat.
at a no. You're now at a net -2.
-2. Okay.
Failures are weighted higher than success in rituals.
And so -2 and my DC is 37.
Yep.
Which is honestly such a bummer for me because society is like the best thing. Like society and deception are Val's best skills and like the entire thing she's built around. So the one time I really get to use it where it's important, it's like even your success is a failure.
It's offsetting. But I do kind of love this. You're an investigator, but like your whole backstory, Drosharis, wasn't it about being like looking into the occult, like an occult researcher in some ways?
And that's also like my alter ego is like occult anything.
So Val's just telling you like the ancient people of la 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 did all this, and you're like, oh yes, I remember.
This is the most like Cthulhuian shit ever. This is a repository of knowledge not created, as far as you know, by humans against things from outside of reality.
Very spooky.
Drosaurus has his hand on there and he can like feel his, I guess I could say friends
What?
performing this ritual with him. He feels like strange power, things that he's learned.
Mm-hmm.
How's a 39?
That's the total.
Yeah.
So you start to see in visions, and it's one of those where like to anyone watching you, it's 2, 3, 4 seconds, maybe a minute, but to you it feels like years. And you're seeing
You're playing a piccolo? All
right, let's talk through some fucking shit here.
Yeah.
You continue.
Okay, before you get into that,
Yeah.
high fives all around everybody.
Yeah, hell yeah, guys.
Probably
Way
the
to-
most important
yeah.
set of rolls ever.
Way to engineer the lowest possible result we could get.
Yep.
We honestly didn't use a single patch.
That's
Pretty
true.
amazing.
And you know what? Even if someone wants to get on me about using guidance for a long-term check, you still made it by more than the guidance
Yeah,
margin,
by
so
3.
you're good.
And
There you go.
I mean, take away that +1 whatever to anything, we still would have made it.
That was pretty hot.
Nice.
So you sort of
You said he was hot. I'll never forget that.
That was like our first
It
bonding
says you can
moment.
use it for a skill check. That's a skill check. right?
Yeah, I guess so, because it's a little different. No, I like that. But regardless, you got it off. So you learn
Yeah, we
the
got this
Conqueror
pillar off.
Worm has this ability called telepathic escape. Has the traits enchantment, incapacitation, mental, occult, and possession. And when the Conqueror Worm dies, it telepathically projects its consciousness into a creature infected by its mental invader abilities. And one who must also be in the same plane of existence as the Conqueror Worm.
Dear God.
The creature must succeed you know what? It does say you learn the details of this ability. The creature must succeed a DC 48
Oh my
will
God.
save, or it is overtaken by the Conqueror Worm.
When it dies.
Oh
When the
my
Conqueror Worm
god.
dies. This has the same effects as the possession spell with an unlimited duration, except that the Conqueror Worm has wholly forgone its own physical body. A host body possessed by the Conqueror Worm undergoes terrible changes. Every day, the host must succeed a DC 48 will save or become permanently stupefied 1 or increase its stupefied value by 1 and increasingly pale, balding, and bloated. When the host reaches stupefied 4, an ectoplasmic cocoon forms around it. And over the next 24
Gross.
hours, the host undergoes a swift metamorphosis and emerges as a new Conqueror Worm with all of the memories of its previous incarnation. I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Gotta
Wait,
say,
so this
oh my
Conqueror
God.
Worm is whoever killed the last one.
this is great lore. That's
Holy
phenomenal.
crap.
That's crazy.
I know we shit talked the guy that wrote this. What's his name again?
Ron Lundeen.
Ron
One of us
Lundeen
is going to
about
turn
the-
into the fucking conqueror
About the
worm.
lesser
I think
deaths,
so.
but hey,
Yeah, that's really cool.
made up for it in the last 2 rooms.
Oh, there's more.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Because once the cocoon forms, 24 hours before it emerges, and at this point, the host is dead and can never be restored except by miracle or wish. Before that point, however, the horrid transformation can be ended by any effect that expels the conqueror worm's possession, meaning would-be slayers of a conqueror worm had best locate its consciousness and end the possession before it's too late and the worm rises again. So you see this arc, almost an abstract, completed over centuries. This worm, you're not sure where the original one came from, but it's essentially a mnemonic concept. It's an idea. One day born inside the recesses of someone's mind until their body changed and thought became form, erupting from it a demigod. And throughout the centuries, each time it dies, the idea of this worm that's passed on from one to the next continues its legacy. However, remember how I mentioned that if the subject of the legend lore ritual from this pillar is an aberration, you increase its success? What you just learned was the details of a success.
Heck yeah.
So in this moment, you get a flash, and you see through the eyes of each person currently touched by the worm's mental seeds. You can just feel and see the last of the touches of life energy of a man in a long silk robe, dinner jacket robe, dying on the floor. You see 2 women looking at each other over a brazier in a stone room, blue fire coming out of it. Interesting enough, you see through each of their eyes each other at the same time as they work on a ritual. And you see only one last point of view. You see black, feathered hands slowly picking up broken bits of medicine and alchemical bottles and putting them back on the shelves inside of a shop that all of you know well.
No.
Tune in next time to find out more.
Shit.
No.
The Live to Die podcast is a production of Live to Die Gaming. Follow us on social media at Live to Die Pod. Leave a review and tune in next week for more. If you like the amazing background audio and music, all that credit goes to Syrinscape. Make sure you check them out at Syrinscape.com.